The Baltimore Ravens are a very resilient football team, but maybe, just maybe, it's not all about Ray Lewis. Welcome into the Sporting News Studios. I'm Tom Vandervoort, and joining me now on the phone for Cliff's Edge, a weekly look at the NFL, is our NFL writer, Cliff Brown. And Cliff, you're saying the Ravens aren't just doing this all for Ray?
No way. They're doing it for themselves. The Ravens have been through more, in my opinion, over the last 4 or 5 years than any team in the NFL. Heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. Really, to me, it takes a lot to recover from the type of defeats they've had to come back the next year and put yourself in position to get back to the Super Bowl. The Ravens have been able to do that time and time again, and they've done it again this year. Obviously, winning at Denver last week was huge, being an underdog on the road. A lot of people have written the Ravens off as being too old, Flacco not being good enough. But they've, again, answered the criticism in the playoffs, and they're sitting on the doorstep of another Super Bowl. And I think that resiliency they have really is something that they can hang their hat on going into this game. The fact that they're going to be underdogs again and going up to New England again doesn't faze them at all. They feel they should have won the AFC Championship game in New England last year, and they're thrilled to have another chance.
You know, postseason success is always good for everybody associated with the team. In particular, offensive coordinators often get head coaching opportunities. Of these 4 teams, who do you think is maybe benefiting most as far as advancing their career?
Well, Jim Caldwell and Josh McDaniels, I think, have both helped themselves as far as maybe getting another opportunity as a head coach. And also, Dirk Cutter, the offensive coordinator of the Falcons, has helped himself as well. I'm not sure any of these guys will get a call to be a head coach this offseason. But certainly Caldwell's a guy who has been the Colts head coach. They had success there getting to a Super Bowl but lost it. I think that now the play calling that he's done with the Ravens has certainly been impressive and has gotten him back on the radar as far as some teams thinking about he's a guy who might deserve another chance. Same thing with Josh McDaniels. Maybe he was a little bit too young when he got the Denver job. Probably definitely had too much power as far as personnel decisions go. But as far as being an offensive coordinator and a guy who meshes well with quarterbacks, Tom Brady loves working with Josh McDaniels, and I think McDaniels' stock is going up. And then Dirk Cutter with the Falcons, certainly the chemistry he's been able to develop with Matt Ryan and the unpredictability of the Falcons' offense and the balance of that offense has made Cutter a guy I think the teams will certainly look at hard.
And finally, speaking of the draft, we know running backs, these days they just tend not to get drafted that high, with rare exceptions. Obviously, we had Trent Richardson last year. Is it smart, do you think, for teams to not use their first-round picks or their early-round picks on running backs because they're so subject to wear and tear, because maybe you can find replacements a little easier than for some positions? Or have maybe running backs fallen too far down the draft board in general?
Well, running backs still get no love when it comes to the draft, and I don't think that's going to change this year. Eddie Lacy, who had such a great game in the national championship game, his stock has certainly gone up. He could be certainly or should be a number 1 draft pick. There won't be many running backs that join Lacy in that first round, and nothing has really changed, even with the huge season that Adrian Peterson had, even though Trent Richardson has looked very good with the Browns and looks like he was a solid pick as a high first-round pick. Running backs in general, for the reasons you mentioned, attrition, feeling that they're not going to last but so many years, there's just a view that you can get a running back later in the draft and get bang for your buck. Look at Alfred Morris, a 6th-round pick with the Redskins. Look at Arian Foster, a guy who wasn't even drafted. Unfortunately for running backs in the draft, the perception is not going to change.
I guess you're going to have to earn your money later. That's the way it goes. All right, Cliff, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Always a pleasure.